everyone. In this session we will be continuing with the theories of origin of earth. We had already talked about the four basic theories. We will be moving on to the recent and the contemporary theories in the origin of earth. So the next theory we would be talking about is Otto Smith's theory that talks about the dust cloud hypothesis. Now this theory suggested that the atmosphere or the system or the space was filled with dust particles. Now each of the dust particle had its own angular momentum and its own velocity at which it was moving. So finally what happened was, during the course of time there was a kind of attraction that happened, and this arrangement of the dust and the gases in the space trying to follow a systematic disc shaped path, and slowly when it was moving under a disc shaped path it tried to bifurcate into stellar orbits, and there were separate orbits that were formed, and these orbits led to the formation of planets under each of the orbital paths. So this is how Otto Smith explained the origin of the earth. According to him, there was the region where the orbits intersect. So the region where the orbits intersect was the region where there were bigger particles, and these bigger particles led to formation of asteroids, and finally there were smaller particles. So suppose this is asteroid, there were smaller particles that came close to these asteroids and it led to formation of planets. However, this theory faced a major criticism, as the recent theory suggests asteroids are formed by disintegration of planets rather than accretion of mass or accretion of particles along the asteroids lead to formation of planets, as was suggested by Otto Smith. The recent theories say asteroids are formed due to disintegration of planets, so that was one of the major criticisms. The another major criticism this theory faced was the reason behind so much dust and gases in the space. So he could not give a specific reason for the amount of dust and gases that he explained is present in the atmosphere. So these were the two basic criticisms of this theory. Now the next theory in the origin of earth is Nova hypothesis, propounded by Lyell and Leighton. Under this theory, they tried to explain that earth originated due to supernova explosion. Now how did this supernova explosion take place? There was sun, and around the sun there was another planet or another star, I could say, which was known as companion star. So let's say you have this as the sun and you had another star which is known as the companion star. So Nova hypothesis basically was a kind of binary star hypothesis. Binary star hypothesis was propounded later, which we will be discussing further. Under Nova hypothesis, they said this would be sun, and sun was accompanied by another star which was known as companion star, and the mass of this companion star was much bigger as compared to sun. So I could say if this was companion star, this was sun. Okay. As the companion star came closer to the sun, there was ejection of the material. Ejection of particles took place, and this ejection of particles was followed under a systematic path, and this led to formation of planets. During the process there was decrease in the luminosity, and this led to cooling, and finally there was formation of planets, and similarly around the planets satellites were formed. So the main idea behind Nova hypothesis was the origin of earth was accredited to supernova explosion that took place. So the main idea behind this theory was a supernova explosion, and the main criticism was this theory could not establish the rotational motion of the sun and the rotational motion of the planets. So this theory failed to establish the fact that there is rotational motion of the planets that exist, and how did planets move. The next theory, which was a kind of minor modification of Nova hypothesis, was binary star hypothesis. Now under binary star hypothesis, it's also known as twin star hypothesis propounded by Russell, but the important thing to note here is binary star, as the name suggests, two. So it mentions Sun and the companion star, but there is an introduction of the third star, which is this, and this star is known as this star had no impact on the Sun, but this star had a huge impact on the companion star. So what basically happened was, there were two binary stars that existed. One was Sun and another was companion star. They had a distance of around 1700 miles. There was the speed of the companion star was at 6 miles per second, while the third star that was introduced had a speed of 20 miles per second. Because it has a high speed, it was moving close, and this resulted into ejection of mass from the companion star. So from this companion star, there was ejection of mass that took place because of the third star coming closer to the companion star, and that led to formation of tidal filaments, and these tidal filaments later on laid the path for the formation of planets. So in contrast to Nova hypothesis, where there was discussion was just surrounding two basic stars, one was Sun and the companion star, and there was a supernovae explosion. Under binary star hypothesis, there was Sun and a companion star, and this companion star, due to the impact of the third star that came very close to the companion star, there was ejection of material from the companion star in the form of tidal filaments, which later on segregated as planets. So this was the basic theory which talked about which was explained by Russell and was known as binary star hypothesis. However, it also faced a lot of criticism. The major criticism of this theory was it failed to take into account the present position of the planets on the solar system. So it could not explain the present position of the planets around the Sun and the solar system, and it also could not explain the removal of Sun's companion would lead to formation of tidal filaments. So why there was tidal filaments only due to the impact of the third star that was coming close to it was not explained. The next theory was the Big Bang theory, or the most popular theory, I would say. Now around 100 million years ago, it was believed that there is a concentrated lump of mass that exists in the universe, and this concentrated mass is known as primeval atom. Now this is the concentrated lump or concentrated mass that existed into the universe with a well distributed system, I could say. Around 10 to 20 million years back, what happened was there was a severe explosion, and that explosion was a kind of blast of a balloon, I could say, and that led to spread of the material, and all the particles got scattered into the atmosphere in such a fashion that led to formation of various planets and satellites in the solar system or in the outer space, I could say. However, it said that the mass was confined, or the density of the primeval atom was confined, and as there was an explosion, this density kind of expanded. Density reduced as this was expanded under the system. So this was what Big Bang theory suggested. It was postulated in around 1950s and 60s, and it was well established by 1972, and it is one of the most commonly proposed theory under origin of Earth, which said that there was a concentrated mass of lump, and during a time period which was around 10 to 20 million years ago, there was a explosion that took place, and that explosion led to scattering of the material across the Earth. Now, in contradiction to Big Bang theory, there was another theory which was known as steady state theory. Steady state theory suggested that the density of the universe remains constant. There is no definite beginning and no definite end of the universe. The universe is constantly expanding in nature, as you can see. So the universe is constantly expanding. So some of the important elements of the steady state theory. Steady state theory was universe is constantly expanding. There is no definite beginning and no definite end of this theory. So that was another thing that steady state theory established. It suggested that it was a kind of contradictory theory to the Big Bang theory. And finally it said the space between the galaxies is increasing, and as the space is increasing, all the planets are trying to have their own orbit and they are trying to stretch out. So universe can stretch out till infinity. That was what was suggested under the steady state theory. The next theory, which was kind of less popular theory, was the electromagnetic theory propounded by Hannes Alfvén. This theory suggested that rather than the previously suggested theories which focused on the gravitation as the main idea behind origin of Earth, this theory suggested that the main idea behind origin of Earth was electromagnetic force. And this electromagnetic force he established was in the ratio of 60,000:1. If we talk about the impact of gravitational force to electromagnetic force to gravitational force, he suggested that this ratio was 60,000:1. That means he overemphasized the role of electromagnetic impulses that are occurring into the atmosphere, and he said because of these electromagnetic impulses, all the planets try to come in plane with the sun, and as a result they have a fixed orbit around which they can follow the sun. And similarly was the case with the satellites. So he said it was due to the impact of electromagnetic forces that all the planets are in line with the sun, and since he talked about predominantly electrostatic force, he said most of the planets were gaseous in nature. So the major criticism this theory faced was it was unable to explain the role of the formation of inner planets, which were mainly rocky in nature and not gaseous. So they explained well the gaseous elements, but it could not explain well the origin of inner planets, which was its main criticism. The next theory was the dust gas cloud theory by Weizsäcker. Now this theory talked about that Earth, the space is surrounded by envelope of gases, and this envelope of gases across sun can be seen mainly in two forms. One is hydrogen and another is helium. But if I talk about Earth is made up of only 1% of hydrogen or helium. So he said the atmosphere or the outer space is predominantly gaseous in nature, and these gases try to arrange or form clouds, and they are present in the outer space in a systematic fashion that leads to formation of the outer area and the outer space. And he also said that due to the collision of these gases there is accretion of the mass, and that lead to formation of planets. So that was the idea that Weizsäcker gave under the dust cloud theory. Later on, the same person gave in 1944 the theory which was nebular hypothesis, where he overemphasized the role of formation of nebula, and he said there is supersonic motion and electromagnetic forces that couple out to form the to form the various planets, and this was propounded under the nebular hypothesis. Later on, the same person in 1951 gave the rejuvenation hypothesis. Under this hypothesis, they said that the young stars are becoming old by being rejuvenated because the existing gases are being accumulated. So you have the existing gases, and those gases are being accumulated, and you have young stars which are becoming old stars, and that is only due to the rejuvenation of the existing stars or the existing system in the atmosphere. So these were some of the major theories that we discussed under origin of Earth. We will be covering more topics in geomorphology and geology in the further classes. You can subscribe to our channel for any further updates. Have a good day ahead.